Ladies and gentlemen, it is a good day because we just got, boom, big old box from our friends at Texas Speed. You know what it is. The engine for Waylon has finally come.
Mega powers, yeah!
Please don't mind that ridiculous hood. It's actually Ron's. We just needed a place to store it, and obviously shop space a little tight these days. So we're gonna open this thing up and see what we've been waiting for the last few months. Let's go. Well, guys, I gotta say, this is an awesome day today. We got the motor out, boom, there she is. I was gonna wait and do like a real proper reveal and all that shit, but you know what? Fuck it, it's the internet, okay? You get a bonus episode this week. Let's break down this thing. Let me show you what we got going on. So this is the new motor that is going in. Old Waylon up there. Now, let me give you the rundown on this real quick. To start out, we've got a Dart SHP Pro LS Next block.
The same pinnacle as Mega Power.
Now see, this is the skirted block. So what's cool about these is you don't have to run, normally the old Dart blocks kind of ended right here, and you'd have to run like a billet plate here to run like a old style or a normal LS style pan. We don't have to do that. We're not running an LS style pan, and I'm gonna show you what actually we're gonna run on the bottom of this in just a second, but these blocks are really nice. Super strong, not crazy heavy, much lighter than that old Godzilla. So that's the foundation of this thing. On the rotating assembly, we've got a Dart billet crank. The rods are Boostline new V2 rod for LS, which are apparently, so I'm told, can handle 2,000 horsepower. They got them in a couple applications that are making nearly that at the tire. So they should hold up. Really cool design. If you want to learn more about that and the Pistons I'm about to go into, they did a full, really in-depth episode with the guys at JE Pistons. Boostline, race-winning brands, basically owns all these companies. So it makes it really easy and, you know, kind of a one-stop shop deal, but really cool stuff. Moving on to the Pistons, we got some really cool JE Pistons that are full custom for this application. They're hard anodized. They got all sorts of trick stuff. Again, that's all in the episode. You can go back and watch it. I'll put a link in the description for that. But cool stuff. And, you know, goes really in depth. Now, up top, we got the PRC 285cc LS7 heads. We wanted to run an LS7 head because we wanted to run a big ass port. And by the way, big port. I mean, look how friggin' huge these things are. All nice and CNC'd. I mean, look at all that light getting into there, buddy. Let's go.
I'm ready now.
Of course, up top, we've got some roller rockers from TSP, and we've got, sorry, I already got some goo on there. And we've got some pack valve springs. These are the 700 lift valve springs. Also, inside these heads, we've got titanium valves.
Limousine like jet flag, son of a gun.
Because your boy likes to get things hot. Actually, the whole purpose of this thing was to overbuild it so I wouldn't break it because I'm gonna do dumb stuff in it. We know that. We figured, let's make it really stout and run it at about half the power that it's capable of, just so we don't, you know, we can avoid sending a rod to the moon. Shit. Hopefully that doesn't happen. God forbid. Anyway, moving on. Let's get into the valley here. Got the bolts off so you guys can see. Now, inside. Cool thing I like about these blocks is you can actually see down into the lifter valley. We got some Johnson link bar lifters. We got real fat chromoly push rods in there, all from Texas Speed. And again, 6-bolt heads. You can see they got the little stud on the bottom, kind of like a Chevy big block would. Really nice. Lots of clamping force. Gonna need that for cramming a bunch of boost down its throat, which inevitably it will. And we're about to get into all that. I got a bunch of little parts I'm about to add to this thing, but I'll show you those. I'm gonna do like more thorough episodes on all that stuff too. Don't you worry. But yeah, this thing's bad. It is a bad mamma jamma. Please excuse me, I'm filming this on my phone right now because I'm too damn excited. Plus I don't have any of the camera gear here. So whatever, doesn't matter. Here's the thing, on this motor, we are going to be running a BDS supercharger, which is up there, which I'll get into in a second. It's also going to be running a 5-stage AVA dry sump kit and a couple other really trick parts that I think are actually our Australian buddies have been really fundamental in helping out with really trick parts on making these things last so that when you're just being a dumbass and just doing nonstop 7,500 RPM burnouts, you don't break the crank or send a rod into outer space or shatter pistons and all that good stuff. So yeah, let me show you some of the trick parts that's going on this. By the way, if you want to know more about the block, I did a whole episode on that at Texas Speed, or break down some of the goodies on it. But the cool thing about these dart blocks is they have huge 4-bolt mains, and the internal ones, so the middle mains, are all splayed. Plus priority main oiling, and just helps to keep things lubricated, plus the content of the block as far as like the nickel, the alloy, and everything that's used inside of the casting is really nice stuff. A lot sturdier than stock. So let's get into some of the parts that are going to go on this thing. So up here, we got a whole kit and caboodle of stuff, and we're probably going to mock this up because, you know what, I can't help myself. We've always got a BDS 871 supercharger. This is their stage 2 boy. It's not a high helix or anything like that, and it's not Teflon. It doesn't have like the Teflon strips in it because really for what we're gonna do, we're just gonna dump a bunch of methanol in it. We're gonna spin it really fast. This will probably be 30% overdriven, so it'll sound really cool. But really if we wanna make like really serious power, I need to step up to a 1071 or like a high helix version of this with the Teflon stuff, but we don't need that for now. Remember, we're trying to make that live on the limiter. So this is polished. We've got a couple other things. We're missing parts here. Still got to get a few more key elements, but we've got this cool injector plate from Holley, which will sit right there. And that will have 8 injectors in it. I'm also going to be running port injectors on this Holley high ram. We got to get this polished as well and do a couple modifications to it. We're going to weld off all of these ports for the sensors, and we're going to put a blow-off plate here, and then we're probably going to kind of work this down, and then we're going to run a piece right in the middle here so we don't have to worry about any kind of pooling or anything. But moving back to the blower here. So then we've got that injector plate, and then this will sit on top of it. And then on top of that, we're gonna have the injector hat, which obviously you need because it's gotta be big, dumb, and stupid. And so we're gonna be running a big Enderly Big and Ugly. Of course, the 10.5-inch version with at least the 5-inch butterflies, which is way overkill for something this small. If not the bigger ones, I don't know. We're gonna see what we can find on like Marketplace. Probably try to find a used one. Or maybe the good folks at Enderly would love to support this kind of dickheadery. Anyway, so the cool thing about BDS, they make a plate for the Holley high ram. So you mount the blower to it. Now, I want to mock this up because I want to make sure it's tall enough. And if it's not, there's a spacer you can get. I believe BDS makes a 2-inch spacer, and somebody else makes a 4-inch spacer as well. We're going to see how high this is because we want it right at about the roof line of that thing because, why not? Now, some other really important parts that we need to get into, and I think that this is something that the Australian guys really turned me on to. First up, we got this Joe Blow timing cover. Now, I bought this. This is not some sort of product placement shit, right? This is cool because it has an internal crank support. So you see this big roller bearing in there? This helps save that crankshaft because when you're running a giant blower pulley on the end of that, obviously a lot of torque, right? So you don't want this thing wobbling. You don't want to wipe out any bearings in the crank, and you don't want to break the snout off of your crank, even though, I mean, I know a few people that don't run it. Zach Pennick, my business partner in Burnout Wars, he actually doesn't have one on there now. He is switching over to that at the end of the season here. So once we get back from SEMA, he's got to tear that motor down and go into this to keep that thing safe, so don't break any of those nice parts he's got in there. So next up, Warspeed. Troy makes these really cool brackets for, this is for the alternator, and this hangs the alternator really tight and low right off the side here. So this is nice, keeps everything looking really clean up top so we don't have anything kind of interfering, and yeah, works really good. Obviously, a lot of testing on this stuff. If you've seen Warspeed, if you've seen any kind of Australian burnouts, and any of the big boys, most of those guys are running Warspeed stuff. Troy knows his shit, and tends to not have motors blowing up too often. So shout out to Troy. Now this, speaking of Warspeed, this is a new product that Troy and the boys are making. So this is their billet sump pan, and you got to run basically a 5-stage kit with it. You got 4 scavenging ports on here, really tight, really compact, O-ring, so you can get it on and off when you need to, and everything's just super trick. Really cool billet shit. Obviously, you know, very race car looking, but when we're running something like that, and we're going to be running a lot of RPM, we want to get that oil out of the motor and keep this thing alive. Now, when you're running something like this, it's always smart to run these guys. They sell different like AN fittings that'll fit into here that actually have these built in. I've got some of those too, but this way you can kind of see the deal on these. So this is just little screens, kind of helps save your scavenging pump, your oil pumps, so you're not sending, let's say if you do, God forbid, send, you know, pieces of metal from your engine that are coming apart, so you don't send them into the pump and ruin that too. Now, still waiting on the Aviade system. That was sent out like a few days ago. When that comes in here, we're actually gonna do a full breakdown on not just the oil system, but how to properly size and spec an oil kit or oil system for your setup. So that would be cool. Aviade just got purchased by an Australian company, but Aviade has been based out of Chatsworth, I believe, just so not too far north from here. And they've always made some really badass stuff, and on some of the fastest, most savage vehicles of all time, like this one.
They've been over 400 miles an hour 44 times.
So now that we've you know, gone over some of these parts, I'm gonna put them on this because I can't help myself. I want to see what it looks like, and we're gonna do some measurements. Let's do that. She is all mocked up. Damn, this thing looks good. It's gonna look a hell of a lot better when this intake manifold's polished. I got some polished valve covers on it. Definitely need to do polished valley cover and probably some plates. Or just polish the heads, I don't know. But man, this thing looks good. Damn, sitting tall, baby. Think it sits tall enough, and it'll probably be tall enough with the injector hat on it, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. It may not be tall enough, and you know what? We may have to put a 2-inch spacer in it, but whatever. Damn, it looks good though. Man, all these sick billet parts look real race car. Again, it's all mocked up. I didn't even have the bolts for this, so I just found some other bolts to, you know, set her in there, but at least she's covered. So now, got a lot of work to do still, and once get the oil system in, we'll get that all mocked up with the mock-up block, and make some motor mounts for this thing, stab it in, start getting to it, baby. You can feel it. Love this stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this little bonus episode here, and yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that bullshit. But yeah, man, coming along. Hopefully we'll be doing burnouts very soon in this bad motherfucker. Let's go. Thanks for watching.